we have two tendencies here. Sometimes we feel that we can't get out, we can't be free, and then we sometimes we even feel that we deserve it. We deserve these hard relationships, we deserve these hard workplaces, that we're not meant to feel so free, that this is life. And then we begin to cage ourselves in these relationships, in these situations, believing that there are actually very little possibilities in life. While life is such a vast expanse of possibilities, that only this thing here begins to narrow down the possibilities and say, oh, I can't, I'm obliged, this has to happen, and so on and so on. Truly, we choose to have no choice. There's almost always a certain choice. There's almost always a certain possibility. We are the imprisoners. We put ourselves in the cage, lock it from the inside, then throw it, and then say, oh my God, I'm locked forever. Wow, this is my doom, this is my fate, this is my curse. I'm meant to suffer in this relationship, and I can't because of financial reasons, because of it's always something that is connected to financial reasons, and or to some existential fear. But the truth is that there is almost always some option or options. We could change. We could flow. And this is again related to the bike question. We will always remember the bike. It's this tendency of the brain to sometimes prefer terrible conditions, as long as they are familiar, over wonderful options, because they are unfamiliar. So it rejects them automatically. It says, no, this is my relationship. These are the people. These are my friends. What can I do? The fact that there is a huge planet, and with 8 billion people, endless possible interactions. And sometimes when we boldly say, no, I want a new environment, I deserve a new environment, then suddenly and shockingly there is a new environment. Because reality, more often than not, follows our conviction. If we are completely sure that something is possible, it will not 100% happen. But it will mostly reality will arrange itself around your perception, your conviction, your energy, the way you will be fearlessly determined. Now, of course, the other side, I just want to balance it. Sometimes we tend to think that any difficulty is a sign for a wrong thing, you see, because things, they need to be smooth, they need to be perfect, they need to be conflict-free. And we enter a certain work, and that work is interesting but also demanding. And then we begin to resist the demand. or a certain relationship. We enter a love relationship. Shortly after, it begins to become complicated. But why is it complicated? It's because of things that we do in our mind that make it complicated. We can't let go. As you said, some people want everything to happen exactly as they want it to happen, which is not people. It's just that the way the brain works. So don't avoid any difficulty. If with first sight of sense of difficulty, say, okay, no, I must, this is a cage. Make sure that we're not escaping. But while making sure of that, always remember, and this is true, by the way, the more you grow spiritually, your environment will change. Certain friends will be no relevant anymore. Partners, you might look at your partner and say, my God, what connected us before was fear, insecurity, attachment. If I remove all that, this is without substance. And then you will need to be brave. Because you have changed. In this, the inner and the outer are not separate. If you are uncaging yourself from the inside, be prepared for an external change. And on a spiritual journey, many things will happen to you. Dramatic changes in the emotional system, in the mental system. One cannot feel like one used to feel. You cannot expect your system to remain the same while at your core you transform. I met in Israel a fully liberated, fully enlightened woman. I met her already. She was at old age, a very beautiful woman, and she attained enlightenment, liberation in unbelievable conditions, because it was back then in times where spirituality was considered madness, and she was married with children, and their husband resented her spirituality so strongly that he didn't allow her to do anything. Didn't allow her to practice. So what she had to do was, in the mornings, she would wake up very early and then pretend that she was asleep, and then she would meditate. Like that. And all that, she even reached a point in which she nearly committed suicide. She wanted to die. And then transformation happened. She realized that she was the one consciousness that embraced in it the heaven and the earth. And then, what would you do with your husband? Because she was completely outside the cage. Consciousness broke free, was everything, everywhere. Now she chose to remain with him. And I remember when because we as students, we were young and rebellious, and so we said, why are you still with this husband? What is the point if he can't even understand you? He doesn't know what's going on with you. He allows her to come to give satsang. Really. And she says, she looked at us and she said, I love him. That was it. What can you say against that? So sometimes this takes us to a change of circumstances, a radical, sometimes some changes. Inwardly, of course, she needed to go through a huge process of being able to talk to your husband while you know that you are the all-pervading consciousness of the universe, which is quite interesting, right? No self-image, nothing. Consciousness broke free. No boundaries, no limits, no up, no down. No husband, no wife. If you are in this state, you are your husband, you see. You look at the husband and you are the husband. So sometimes the simple reality of the heart doesn't break the pattern of the external life, and sometimes completely. Be prepared for all. But in this story, because she didn't feel caged, then it couldn't be a cage, even if it was a relationship that seemed completely unsympathetic, unsupportive, and so on and so on.